Hi friends, it's Megan, and welcome back to my channel, The Crafty Quinn. If you're new here, I like to make crafts, DIYs, and home decor pieces using mostly Dollar Tree items. Today's video, I have 3 modern farmhouse spring and functional decor pieces for you, and it's a collaboration with ShannonsCraftyDIYs, but more about that in a little bit. So just to set this up, I actually did something a little bit different this week, and I asked my husband to go ahead and pick out 10 items from my craft stash and get me to work with them for this DIY video. So that is what he is gleefully doing right now. He is so glad that I'm using items from my craft stash, and this was just super funny to watch because I felt like he was at a Dollar Tree and he was getting to just choose whatever 10 items he thought would be fun to work with. And so he's having a lot of fun just like looking at all of the items that I have, and the whole family's in here, all of us and our pets. You have seen Marcus before, and that's my dog Harley. And so now he's being really thoughtful about the items that he chooses. So far he's picked 3, and I was just amazed at how thoughtful he was for picking out these items. He really was thinking about what items would fit well together, and I have to give him props for that. So let's see what we got here. We got, let's see, about 6 items, I think. So he just needs about 4 more. And see what I mean? He's thinking about what items can go together. He's really trying to make this easy on me, and I appreciate that. But this was just a super fun challenge. Like I said, I think he had a little bit more fun with it than I did, because I was like, oh dang, now I really have to think about how do I make these work. But now you get to see a little bit of my actual office / craft room upstairs. All of my crafts are, all of my items for DIYs are in these bins, and yeah. No rhyme or reason, no actual organization, just, okay, here's a bunch of wood items, I'm gonna put this in a drawer that seems to fit together. So let's see the items that he actually picked out. So like I said, he had to choose 10 items, and I had to figure out a way to work with all of them. So, oh my gosh. So I got that little calendar piece there, and I got this wild and free sign. So like I said, all of these are Dollar Tree items. So I have so many Dollar Tree items and things that I never ever get to use. So this was a really good chance to actually craft from my stash. So these are just some things that I've had kind of for a while, and those new pieces are kind of a new Dollar Tree edition. Well, relatively new, in the last maybe couple months. So I'm using another chalkboard for this, and this is just a canvas piece. And then this is that Crafter's Square adhesive cork board. And then this is just a frame where you can just hold photos up with some clips. And then last but not least, we have this placemat that I got a while ago and never figured out what to do with. So I'm going to figure out what to do with it for this video. And so here I'm just marking the areas where I think I need to cut this placemat down to make it fit in this Dollar Tree cookie sheet, actually. I grabbed this cookie sheet a while ago too, and I actually put it with all my other cookie sheets, which is a bad idea because I then forgot that I had this. But I didn't feel like it needed to go in my crafting room. I was like, no, this is a kitchen item. I'm gonna put this in my kitchen, right? So now I'm just making sure to cut this down to size. This is not the easiest item to cut down to size. So after this video, it definitely made me realize I should probably invest in a paper cutting machine. And that probably would have worked great for this. I mean, this is just a plastic material, so relatively easy to cut through. I just kind of kept cutting until it fit perfectly inside the cookie sheet. and that seems like a great fit right there. By the way, notice the very, very fluffy robe that I'm wearing. I didn't even realize that I was crafting in this, and I'm like, I've got paint here and everything, and I'm not even rolling up my sleeves, so apparently I'm pretty confident about my painting abilities, I guess. So I just poured the paint right onto the cookie sheet because I'm using a much bigger brush for this. So that brush does not fit in the paint jar, obviously. So I'm using my Waverly plaster color chalk paint, and I'm just giving this whole cookie sheet a coat. I'm covering this from top to bottom. I want this to look like a very, very finished product. And now I'm just taking the top of the brush, the foam brush, because it broke off, because this was a Dollar Tree foam brush, so not always the most reliable. It did break off, so I just grabbed it and ended up using it to dry brush the placemat to give it a real vintage, faded, shabby chic look. And I know this is a modern farmhouse video, but my original intention was actually to make this more of a shabby chic video and try my hand at that. So now I'm taking my Waverly ballet slipper color chalk paint, and I am covering the top of this with this color. See, I ended up changing my mind. I thought I wanted this to be that all plaster color, but then I really thought about how the blue would look great with this light pink, and I'm like, oh, this would look like such a shabby chic craft if I did the blue and the gold and the pink together. So now I'm just covering the top of this cookie sheet in all pink. So now I'm just figuring out how to best get this placemat into the cookie sheet and make it lay down flat. And I have these gold handles from another DIY that I thought I was going to do a while ago, and that was to take my bureau and glam it up. So now I decided to use Mod Podge to lay the placemat down flat. I don't recommend using hot glue on this. It makes the edges stand up too much and the placemat stands out too much. So definitely, if you want this placemat to lay flat, use a really good layer of Mod Podge. And be careful because the Mod Podge will go everywhere with this. So I'm now just taking the top of my brush, and similar to what I was doing with the placemat, I am using it to also dry brush this, the actual placemat itself, the pink, and I'm trying to give it the rustic, distressed feel. And I'm sorry you can't see this right here, but but that's what I did. So you have some white paint fading all around, and now I'm hot gluing on my handles to the tray. And I do recommend using something much stronger if you actually want to use this as a tray where you would actually carry things, because I am not using it that way. I'm using this purely for decor purposes in my house. So I'm just using hot glue for now, but I recommend using maybe E6000 in combination with hot glue, and maybe that would be something much stronger to hold this. But there is chalk paint on this, so it can be a little bit, hard to adhere when you have a metal sign. So this is what it looks like before I distressed the handles. I ended up distressing the handles later, and then this is how it came out, and I think I like this better. Let me know what you guys think. So, like I said, today's video is a collaboration with ShannonsCraftyDIYs. She makes more rustic farmhouse DIYs with a little boho chic twist, so go check out her channel and go check out her spring DIY video for our theme and tell her that I sent you. Her channel and her video are in my video description below. So on to the next DIY. I am now taking this this frame, I don't know what you would call it. It's like a clothespin frame that my lovely husband picked out for me, and so I'm just taking that apart, and I took it all apart. I took the paper out of it, and thank you very much, Marcus, for blocking my shot. For those of you who are new to my channel, this is my cat Marcus. We call him the Crafty Kitty. He loves to help, in quotes, with my DIYs, and obviously that means he does not help at all. He just likes to steal things and just kind of watch the process. But he is a happy little I don't know, helper, watcher. He just really likes to see what I'm doing with my crafts for some reason. So we just invite him to stay, and I always leave that footage in for you guys because I think it's so adorable. So now I'm actually painting the clothespins too. I'm just painting everything from top to bottom except for the string. So I took out the paper piece that was in there. There wasn't any glass or anything. This was not like a glass frame. This just had a piece of paper in the back, and so I ended up taking the adhesive cork board that my husband picked out, and I adhered that to the sheet, and I didn't have to do anything special with it because it was adhesive cork board. So that went right onto the paper, no other steps were needed there, and then I just painted the edges of it pink to match the rest of the frame so that no of the original color of the frame would stand out. So everything was very, very pink. So once I had the cork board secured in the frame, then I'm moving on to the next step, and I'm taking those wood pieces that he picked out, and I'm not using the chalkboard for this. I am taking the wood pieces that he picked out, and I'm going to paint those as well. And my plan here is to hot glue them to the very bottom of this and kind of make it just this kind of all-in-one piece. I thought I wanted this part to be more functional, but then I decided I'm gonna leave this part as the actual decorative piece of it. So I hot glued the two planks together after I coated them in my Waverly Ballet Slipper chalk paint. And then I'm going to hot glue this to the very bottom of this frame. And for some reason in this video, you get to see a lot of my face. Just the way the camera angle was set up. And I was very, very focused and very serious about getting this right. So now I'm making a bow for this, and guys, this bow was not easy, besides the fact that I'm not great at making bows, but because Marcus was, yeah, as you can see right there, stealing the raffia from me. I had to help, yeah, my husband had to come help me wrangle him in the meantime while I did this. And by the way, I swear he did not actually eat any of these pieces, so nobody come for me in the comments, but he just liked to, I don't know, he just liked to catch the raffia, if you know what I mean. The raffia was his prey. So he didn't actually eat any pieces. He just liked to think that he caught the raffia or something. So now I'm just cinching the bow, tying the raffia really tight around those around the bow middle, and what I did was I cut off each end of the loop so that there was no actual loops on either side. It was just the ends of the bows. And so I cut off the raffia too. I don't need the extra raffia pieces on this. I don't need the extra frayed edges or anything, so I just cut all that off. And then I hot glued that to the top of my sign. And then I just took the edges of it and I just twisted them each in a different direction so that it would look like this really nice bow that I tied but didn't tie. So now I'm just taking a tiny amount of paint and just doing a quick dry brushing over this metal Dollar Tree welcome sign. You can see my pile of metal letters there in the back. I have those hanging up in my craft room on my wall. I always get a pack of those metal letters for like every season or whatever. Dollar Tree always has a new pack of 3 metal letters, and I like to grab them for each season, occasion, whatever. So I just hot glued this down, and I just put that in the very middle there. I just wanted that to be a very decorative, I guess, bottom of this piece, and the top of it is more functional. And Marcus was just going after any piece of string he could find, apparently. So this is what it looks like when it's all done. And I thought this was adorable for maybe a little girl's room or a playroom. So that might be what I end up doing. I may give it to someone, but I thought it was really cute at least. So on to my last but not least DIY. And I'm combining a lot of the elements that my husband gave me to work with here. And the only thing that I ended up not using out of all of the items, and there was 10 to begin with, the only thing I didn't end up using was the canvas. I could not figure out what to do with it in time. So I ended up using a lot of items for this DIY. Marcus is keeping me entertained while I show up in the frame. So I used a lot of items for this DIY because I wanted to create a little command center. And one of my crafting friends, Rebecca Virginia DIY, made one of these a while back, and I thought it was so adorable. And I ended up having basically everything I needed to kind of recreate that, but do my own little spin on it by adding this chalkboard. So I made a command center similar to Rebecca Virginia's DIY, and I want to make sure she gets the credit she deserves. So I've linked her video where you can find her original command center in my description box as below, so make sure to check that out. So here I painted all of the pieces for this little command center, like I said, and for this chalkboard I laid down masking tape so I wouldn't get the edges, well, the actual chalkboard piece itself, so I wouldn't get that covered in paint. And I peel that up right before the paint is totally dry. That has been a very, very helpful trick that I've learned since I've become more of a crafter. And I will give Danielita AF the credit for that one that she deserves. She did mention that before in one of her videos. So now I'm just painting this sign, and that was the wild and free sign that I showed you at the beginning. I hot glued the chalkboard to this, and you'll get a better angle of that in a second, what it actually looks like with the chalkboard and that combined. I didn't take off the top piece of the wild and free sign because it actually made a great piece to hold up the chalkboard in place. So then in the very back of it, I did just paint everything so it looked more like a finished product. So now I'm taking this sign from the beginning of this DIY where I was struggling to get the cloud off of the middle of that sign. And now I'm just hot gluing this to the wild and free sign now that I have painted everything. And by the way, I had to use many, many coats of paint. And there you can see how the chalkboard is attached to that first sign. I had to use many, many coats of paint for this DIY just in general, but here I am using those wood planks that are going to lay under this, and I'm cutting them with my miter shears, and it's definitely not easy to cut those wood pieces. You have to really try a few times to get it kind of like cut from the top of it, and then you cut kind of underneath it. And then I took my Jenga blocks, and I ended up using Jenga blocks for this. This was something I added in later. I wasn't sure that I was going to even do this, but I was like, there's something missing. I need to add something here. So I actually created a little pen holder out of Jenga blocks, and I used a lot of them. So I just put them all together, and then I painted them. I painted over everything so that it was just one consistent color. And for this, I used the Waverly Plaster chalk paint color. And by the way, I have 2 hot glue guns there because one of them died on me right in the middle of this, so I went back to using my plug-in. So if you got confused by seeing 2 hot glue guns there, that's what happened. So here, that is what I'm going to be using this for. I have a little tiny notebook that fit perfectly and a pen that was the perfect size for this. So now I'm just placing everything in its appropriate spots to get the command center all set up. And you don't have to call it a command center. I don't know really what to call it. I just thought, you know what, that makes sense to me. I'm gonna call it that. So that is the final DIY, guys. Thank you guys so much for watching, and make sure to leave a comment below if you made it to the end of this video. Leave a pink heart emoji for spring, and let me know if you think my husband did a good job in picking out those things. So if you want to watch more videos, check them out on the left, and let's keep in touch on Instagram. Thank you guys for watching.